Hello, I'm Earl, and welcome to Speaking of Everything. Well, I have a very interesting guest with me here on YouTube, Facebook, and on Hot 99.9 FM radio. This person's been avoiding me for a long time. Can you imagine that? Finally, they're here. I'm happy to introduce to you the 2024 parliamentary election second largest winners in Martin. The one and only MP, the Weever. How you doing?
I'm fantastic, Oral. Thank you for having me here. I mean, I am sure that people are seeing that I can't really talk so well with a smile. I was trying to hold back my laugh because Oral said a very interesting person who's been avoiding me. I have not been avoiding him whatsoever. I've been taking everything in, quietly being grateful for everyone, going to visit people all the time, and then also dealing with a lot of loss of family members over the last, I would say, maybe 4.5 months, which has been something I've been trying to, manage and deal with. But I have not been avoiding Oral. I was telling Oral earlier on that coming on this show gives me a lot of pride. It's very nostalgic because growing up, I saw all the greats that were in government on this show. So being here today is an absolute honor, and it always is an honor, but I have not been avoiding him.
All right, it's good to have you here. You got the second largest amount of votes in the last parliamentary election.
I did indeed. I must say that every election is always a very stressful endeavor. But when I see where I've come from the first time in 2020 to now, the third election, having two in 2024, I'm humbled. The word is literally humbled. I feel like it's surreal because every time I go back and I look at it and I said, even though I can't believe it, I think that's probably a big part of what keeps my ego in check and keeps the humility about me, is because I know I do the work. I do the work for people. I listen to them. I listen to their issues. And even though I am not part of executive, I am part of the legislative branch, but it doesn't mean that you stop listening. Your impact that you have in the legislative branches, actually maybe people have more access to you because you're readily available to them all the time. They can come up into the Parliament building, bring their ID, but every single person has an impact that they can make, regardless of what their position is in government. And parliamentarians on a let's say on a general scale actually have to take in everything. So they're not just concentrated only on one ministry, but they have to take in all of the complaints of our community and then decide what to do with that. Whether you are opposition or coalition, you have to have an outlet for what you do for people. Whether that is being the co-legislator with the ministers or sending the complaints on to the ministers, we have that medium there available to us. If we are not getting something out of the ministers, then we have the medium available to us of we write letters to the ministers, describing exactly what the issues are of our constituents, of our community members, and then we are entitled to a response. And if the response doesn't come, then we can always ask for meetings with the ministers directly or have the ministers come to Parliament, and that is exactly our role there. But it's been going not as expected, I would say, because this is a 4-party coalition, and you're trying to manage something that is divided amongst 4 different identities in essence, and that is a very difficult task. Even though you try to keep the work for the people at the center, what happens is there's a lot of overlap, right? There's between the ministries. There's also a lot of chiefs in the room, and if I could send one message then to the Council of Ministers, which I have sent in person as well, I've said it to them in person, I've said it publicly before, and I will say it now again, is to really understand what your ministry's tasks and responsibilities are and focus on your ministerial work. Where there is room for collaboration across ministries, don't let that be a reason for you to muddy the waters in the sense of shifting the responsibilities, because someone else can help you out with it doesn't mean it's their responsibility. Don't overlap. And then an additional one is for ministers to respect each other's roles and their ministries and their direct responsibilities, because my concern is that because of this overlap, you tend to not have anything done, and that's what we want to avoid. We don't want to have ministers, scared to do the work because it's overlapping with someone else. But there are clearly defined tasks and roles and responsibilities that they need to make sure that they follow.
You being the second largest vote getter in the last parliamentary election, I was at the place, and the person was speaking about you in terms of the formation of the government.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you, if you heard that person, it's like they wanted to go to war if you didn't, no, serious, if you didn't get a ministry, and I think back about that, because what I noticed in the last parliamentary election too is I've had a lot of politicians here, but very few people came to me and told me how much they loved them, like how they did with you. So it didn't surprise me with the amount of votes you got. But what surprised a lot of people is that you're not a part of the Council of the Ministers. I don't know if you get that sense from your own.
I got it, and I still get it to this day. And I made a video where I told it was a private video technically because I had never posted it, but I think now I will post it because it went so many places. Yeah. It was a video that I sent to my supporters, and on my phone I definitely have about 700 contacts that I send items to as it relates to me or the party beforehand. And when elections coming up, when meetings are coming up, and I have that big a group that I send it to, but then I meet more people in the community beyond that 700. And I created a video to explain to people what is happening when we have elections, how things go down when you are trying to negotiate a coalition, formation of government. I also explained to them what I requested in a very open manner, in a very direct manner, because that's how most people know me to be. And some people were like, "Thank you so much for explaining it to me." And then one messaging that I had in it is that I said that politics is the art of compromise. You have to be able to compromise, and while you might not get what you initially was looking to participate in, then it doesn't mean that things are over and then you act like a child and you throw all your toys out of the pram and then you say, "Well, I don't get my way. I'm out of here." Politics is the art of compromise, and the compromise here is, well, what are you going to do? Are you still going to be part of the collective, or are you going to try and do your own thing? I do believe that our issues in this country are definitely more important than me not being part of executive branch. And the good part is that where I am in Parliament, my role is to hold the executive branch accountable. Our elections are for Parliament, and while historically the way that St. Martin politics is that someone explained to me is that, "Oh, but if you're not in executive, you're not doing the work." And I said, I don't agree with that. I absolutely do not agree with that. But I understand why it's perceived that way. And what I will say again here to you, and as a message to everyone, whether they are in the Council of Ministers before or have future plans to be in the Council of Ministers, now, also to parliamentarians before, now, and in the future, is that when you are going to be part of executive, you need to make sure that you get the work done. People, your citizens, need to feel the impact of your work on a day-to-day basis. If you are not doing that, you will feel it in the next election. So just because you are there in executive doesn't mean that you're guaranteed to be there next time around. Same thing in Parliament. Parliament, you have to produce items. You don't need to be in the limelight every day like the Council of Ministers are in their weekly press briefings, but you need to be present with your people. I am constantly in touch with my supporters. I am constantly having new conversations with people, because right now you have a continuation of a struggling society, a struggling community. And regardless of how many parties we have, how many music festivals we have, how many big international events we will hold here and bring in people from away, it doesn't change anything unless your people are feeling a positive impact on their lifestyle.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, they're not feeling that right now.
And this is what worries me, and this is the reminder that I always tell the Council of Ministers: you cannot hide behind policies or the lack thereof. You cannot hide behind saying I'm waiting, blaming basically the previous administrations and not dealing with the here and now, because blaming previous administrations for all of our faults is one way to start. You can't keep repeating it like a broken record because of the fact that the previous administration, no one's there now. It's we are there now. So you need to soak the blows and do the work, because I don't know what the statute of limitations is on blaming previous administrations and persons from 30, 20, 40 years ago. But a statute of limitations realistically is about 4 years for you to manage the business of the country. Otherwise, you'll be voted out. Yeah. And I remember all the time this conversation, because it's always brought up and reminding me. I believe there was a conversation that my dad had one time with the late, great Mr. Wati, the old man, as they say, where it says, those are appointed will soon be disappointed. It's not a threat. It's a reality, unfortunately, because, what I can say is this. The perception that you had from the previous administration, and this is the worst perception for you to give to the public. When the public who's voting for you sees that it looks like your life has improved, your lifestyle has improved, whereas the lifestyle of the voters, of the ones who even can't vote but are living here, when it looks like their lifestyle hasn't improved, and I'm not talking about material, expensive items, luxury items, I'm talking about everyday basic needs. That's what I'm talking about. When they see representatives' lifestyle improve and theirs don't, it's not about those appointed going to be disappointed. We're assured on all levels of government that we are failing our system.
But I think what happened, there was a lot of excitement after the last parliamentary election. Mm. A lot of people felt, okay, this government is going to do well. And the disappointment now, it's just unbelievable. I've never seen anything like this.
I hope that you're wrong, that you said you haven't seen anything like this. I do believe that the reality of our situation here is such that we are in a dire situation. The country is hurting. But what you need when you are hurting is to take some very, very daring moves, be courageous, and if anything, look at Curacao as an example. I know that right now in my role, I have been, even though you'd say I've been avoiding you, I know what I've been working on. I know what I've been working on my side in Parliament in terms of certain legislation, which is not an overnight job. Legislation, and I'm sure you have a little bit of an idea because of your daughter's role being a lawyer as well, legal background. It is so complicated, it is so time consuming, and that's exactly why parliamentarians, and especially me, I feel like my hands are tied sometimes because we don't have the people that we need to do the work. And if you're trying to do it out of your own pocket, it's not the way it's supposed to be, but that's the way that you're going to have to manage it for the time being. And it's going to be even slower task when you're trying to self-finance something like that, which is not the way governments are run. And my fear is that because of you have this exodus as well of civil servants that has happened, including
never before in the history of
but I don't believe that it's a problem from today alone. I believe it's a problem from mismanagement over the years. And again, I'm not using all of this as an excuse for us not to do anything. We have to be careful how often we use that excuse. Because right now, if you're telling me that we can't hire legislative lawyers because of the fact that no one wants to take it for that price, then what's the alternative? Outsource. Well, if you can't outsource it, what's the alternative? I am very worried that our priorities here are misguided.
I don't want to say this, but I'm going to say it, and excuse me for saying this in a way. You know my daughter, she's a legislative lawyer. I do. Besides that, being a corporate lawyer and criminal lawyer, worked for the government, but the government didn't want her. They would tell her one time, you're going to be replaced by a white person in that chair, and now she's out. They can't find the white person because nobody wants to work for that money. Here you have a St. Martin born young lady. And by the way, her third degree, which is in legislative law, we paid for it. Her parents paid for it, okay? not the government of St. Martin. The late Mr. Roy Marlin was the only one who came to me as a father and said, oh, no, we can pay. I said, no, Roy, we'll pay for it ourselves. She came back to St. Martin. We all know the history.
Yeah.
And this is the disappointing part about it, because we just saw GBE in the Netherlands parading to bring St. Martiners back home.
Correct.
St. Martin doesn't want to come back home. I have another daughter, two of them, a medical doctor and a psychologist. They don't want to come back because they saw what happened to their sister. So I don't want to put you down, but many times politicians will say that, but the reality is we don't want it because you had it in legislative lawyers and you throw them away.
You are definitely not putting me down. You are actually, and I appreciate how frank you are being. You are stating the reality of it, and this is where the overall structure of government needs to be looked at, because I know people too who are here who don't want to be here. I know people who have left. I know persons who have left, even now, because of the fact that when they are doing their job exactly as they should be doing it, because they know a minister or the direct minister, they went to school with a minister, or they know the MP, or they know whoever, then you get those politicians involved in basically maintaining status quo instead of improving the structure and the reporting structure and everyone falling in line in the hierarchy of how it should actually be run. You are absolutely correct in saying that we are so good at denouncing our own. We are so good at pushing them out, and then we cry foul and we complain when they're all gone. And then you look at other countries that are. Actually, I can say it from the fact that I lived in Curacao and I lived in Bonaire. And you see the way that they build up their people. So they really take pride in the fact that...
Too, huh?
And I haven't spent any time. I only went to Aruba once for 3 days for training, so I don't really know it. But you really promote your people, right? And you lift them up. Now, just because I'm doing that doesn't mean that I can't hold you accountable as well. Because people try to... there's this misunderstanding that because I'm writing you up, let's say in a performance evaluation, that I don't appreciate you. No, that is a normal way of working. A normal way of working is I give you constructive feedback on your job. If you're not doing well, you improve it. If not, we escalate things. That is a normal procedure, absolutely normal procedure. So I'm not saying that this is what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is really respecting someone's worth, letting them add some more tax on it, and knowing where they contribute to maybe your weakness in a particular area, and allowing them to basically know, to respect the fact that they know what they're doing.
But I'll say this now. This was said to me by another attorney who also worked in legal affairs for the government, just like my daughter. A person said to me, legal affairs in the government of St. Martin is racist. They don't want to see black people there. This was said to me. They're satisfied having only white people. But fine, go find the white people, because they're not there and they're not going to work for the money that you want to give the black ones who are qualified. I don't like to bring in color here, but that was said to me, and I know that the person is right because I know what was said to me as a father when my daughter came back here, and what was said to her. So we are playing a dangerous game on this island where we're putting our people down and we're lifting up other people. And then what?
Yeah.
And then, because when you come to ask me to vote for you,
yeah,
it becomes a problem. I'm sorry I have to speak like that about it.
No, it came up really, unplanned, really and it's something that's bothering you, and it's something that a lot of people here have felt, and we continue to want to bring our students back home or our professionals back home, and then we chase them just as quickly because they could get so much more done in the rest of the world that respects them more than their own people.
We need them here.
And we need to sort of take a look in the mirror and try to figure out what we want, because if we want to, because then the reasoning of outsourcing things then really becomes the norm that we won't be able to afford because we're outsourcing it to people because we never built up our own. And even lately, which I've heard in the past, and also now from the Minister of Education, they talk about the fact that we take an assessment and look at what we need and basically push our people to do that. And that is one part of fixing the problem. The other part is when they come back, are you going to respect them or are you going to chase them out so that you can put in your friend there instead? Because they're challenging our people too much.
That's the problem. Yeah.
We need to get over ourselves and actually just huddle together and do the work, or else someone else would do it for us and take us over.
It's sad though. It's really, really sad because I've been in this business for a long time. I've seen a lot of things, but lately what I've noticed is that we're actually going backwards, completely backwards, instead of forward. And that's very disappointing for an island like this.
Yeah, and you know, in an overall way of, if I have to take things back to, you know, how I feel and the very harsh comment that you stated about the fact that things are worse than they've ever been, I take it personally.
Must say for our people, for some modern people.
I take it. Actually, I'm very glad that you made that correction.
For modern people.
Because that's exactly where I was going with it. And this is the danger that we're doing as a government if we are not making sure that we're lifting our people up and we're really putting their concerns as a priority for us as a government. We will lose because it's not the persons that come to live here.
Politicians look at the numbers.
But you know
what? The numbers are not for locals.
But I will tell you, that's what I was going to say. What you're seeing, and this is something that I mentioned in the meeting that we had with Rami a few weeks back, that the articles that you're seeing in the public, the upheaval that you're seeing in public, is all surrounding expats that live on our island. Okay, and not all expats that are here, they might be permanent residents. They might have actually even gone through the process potentially of their citizenship, which is a whole other level of a transition for them. But on a high level, right, on the overall scheme of things, I am hearing more news around foreign-owned projects than hearing about our own people being built up. And I mentioned that, and I said, you know, everyone is complaining about these big projects that are by international companies, but you're not listening to the little projects, the smaller projects, the less value projects that are by your locals. You hear us constantly saying that we're going to give tax holidays to expats and foreign-owned businesses, but then you're not talking about giving a tax holiday, for instance, to a local family who wants to do a big development of affordable housing, or you know. So we have to level the playing field for our people here, because the playing field is not leveled. And before even election, you know what I kept saying? I said, I don't understand how I'm living in a country where my own people are suffering and we're becoming poorer. And and this is why I told you, I said, Mr. Gibbs, if I'm going to come on your TV program and your radio program, I'm concerned that I come and I'm not going to listen to my mom and my dad who tells me every time I public speak, I need to give the people hope. Because the people need to get hope that at least I'm going to keep doing the work from my position in Parliament, that I will keep the pressure on government to do not forget the fact that we are here for our people. We're not here for expats, for foreign-owned. We're here to make sure, yes, they can participate in our economy. But at the end of the day, who are we serving? We are serving our St. Martiners who are part of our system and the most important people here.
I have to go to a break.
No problem.
We're going to continue speaking with MP Weever. She's a dynamic young lady. When we come back, we will continue right here on Speaking of Everything.
We are vibrant, expressive, warm, and diverse. Together, we conquer, and now we expand into new horizons, giving you more of the best. Introducing our new Bankomatico Plus with wider acceptance, purchase protection, and enhanced security. Whether you're online, traveling, or in paradise, experience more with Windward Island Bank. Bankomatico Plus, more of the best.
My guest with me right here on Speaking of Everything is dynamic, very, very dynamic young lady politician, and I'm telling you, she's gonna do some amazing things. Take it from me. Maybe the next prime minister. No, people love you. No, I've been around a long time. I can tell you, the people of St. Martin speak with me. They love Claude. They love Theo. They love your aunt Millicent, and they love you. And that's not normal in St. Martin, because most of the time we don't really love politicians, But I gotta say that, and I'm telling you it's a fact. So I see you blushing, but you know it's true.
I am blushing, and it's not my blush. It's not my orange, bronze blush. But I'm blushing. I'm blushing at the fact because, you know what? Let me just remind the public that my name means love of the people. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really know that until about 4 years ago when I was looking up, what does my name mean? What does my name mean? And I said it one time in a rally, campaign rally in Dutch Quarter. And I think when I said that, I know when I said that, it just changed everything for me, the way I moved forward in my very surprising political career, because love is an important part of it, but also following through on delivering for your people. I don't promise things to people, but I deliver. What I deliver to them is the fact that I'll keep fighting for them. And sometimes it feels really hard, and you feel a little demotivated when you see that things don't happen fast enough. But then I have to take a self-reflection and say, well, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this job? Why am I exposing myself to public ridicule, to public criticism? And then I realized that there's public love. Yeah. And that's a big reason that keeps me going, because I said the fight is worth it. And it's not because I want to be loved, it's just that it helps it so much more to keep you motivated. But one thing I can tell you about the persons you just mentioned, including my name, is this. People appreciate it when you're real. They appreciate it when you're direct. Yeah. They appreciate it when you tell them the truth and you say, I can't do this right now, but I'm going to put it on my list as an item to question. But you have to be real with people. And a lot of the times, politicians just have a lot of BS coming out their mouth. So, but I also, you need to have action. People need to feel connected to you. And it's an important part of giving them hope and motivation. And this is something that's always part of my reflection of, am I still doing the work for the people in the best way that I can? And I believe so. I believe that I still have a message. I still have a task to fight to represent the people of this country. And I will keep doing that until the day when I do my self-reflection and I decide, well, I am no longer helping you.
I saw a quote from you, and that quote was saying that leaders get caught up in power struggles instead of actually getting caught up in the people's struggle.
Yeah. It was all mine. I promise it was all my quote. And when I'm talking, sometimes this stuff comes out of my head, and it's because of what I really believe at my core. But that quote made a reappearance actually a few weeks back. And then a lot of people started messaging me saying, hey, I like your quote. And I said, what quote?
People were forwarding it on WhatsApp.
I said, what quote are you talking about? I said, because I didn't say anything lately, because Oral said I've been avoiding him. But so they said, what does this mean? Where is this coming from? And I said, actually, I said that in the video that I made after election, talking to my supporters about, why things are okay. Let this coalition do the work. I am not where I initially asked to be, but, that's okay. My time will come. My time will come, and in the video I said, this is where I talked about political being compromising, like compromise. You have to make a compromise in politics. You have to give in for the greater good, and for me, I give in for the greater good being the people. Let the coalition do the work. And do the work for the people, govern, and then my time will come. And so it's something that I said then, that I'm not going to be a victim of egos where my political career will end because I didn't initially get what I asked for in terms of executive. No, I got what I asked for. I asked to be elected.
Exactly.
The people elected me, and I thank you every day for that, and I'm grateful every day to that. But there is a part of compromise that happens with the job, and this is an important quote for people to remember, and it's something that I will again remind even the Council of Ministers, is that don't get caught up in power struggles when it comes to decision making in the Council of Ministers, because you need to remember what's going to happen at the end of the day. If you are not providing for the people of this country, you will feel it in the election, or you will be called to task by the Parliament, who holds the Council of Ministers accountable. Do not let your egos take over the order of the day, because you have 4 chiefs made up of all of these partners, of 4 chiefs, meaning 4 parties, and they're all trying to finagle things and take the lead on certain things. No, y'all have to focus on doing the work for the people. And if that means one has to give in a little bit more one year, what I want to see from the Council of Ministers is the art of compromise. I want to see you put the most important things forward in the time being, instead of fighting for the limelight of saying what you can do more in picture taking. Do the work for the people, because then that maybe what you told me is this is the worst it's ever been wouldn't be felt. Because I can't say I agree or disagree, but the perception is there, Mr. Gibbs.
You see, the thing is that, and I've noticed this over the years, that when you're elected to office, most of the times, politicians want to have people around them who will answer and yes all the time, who will not disagree with what they have, or give them an honest opinion of what's happening. Or they want to have educated young people. If you want to have educated young people, you also have resistance, because those educated young people respect themselves as a professional. And you sometimes, as a politician, didn't even have a high school education. I'm speaking in general right now.
Yes, I know.
But you want to come and tell an economist what to do.
Yes.
It doesn't work like that. So what you do, you go to some other island, you get economists who don't even speak Dutch.
Yes.
But you get that economist a high position in your ministry. You see, these are the things that are happening here. We don't want our own people, because our own people will resist and challenge, and that's a big issue.
I think what people should think about and consider is the best challenge for me to get is from my own people.
Exactly, make you better.
And this is what I say, and I remind them all the time, again in Parliament. Even this morning, I reminded them, and I said, it's not a personal attack at ministers when you tell them something is wrong. In fact, you're doing your job when you're reminding them that something is not working. Something's got to give. Don't get impatient. Don't get upset whether it's any MP or any citizen complains. The job is there for you to receive those complaints and improve our lives. And then, you have a group behind you that is going to keep pushing you forward when you're doing the right thing. But when you're doing the wrong thing, you'll be called out on it too. And, again, I will constantly be reminding my colleagues as well as the public, I am not here as a yes man. I am not here to push a coalition forward when they're doing wrong and just be a yes man. I'm here to be a supporter of persons doing the right thing regardless of who they are. And that right thing is lifting my people up.
Let me ask you, are you concerned about the tariffs that are being imposed by the Trump administration, and what do you think we can do about it?
I'm very concerned actually about a lot of developments in the U.S. right now, because we have a tendency of being so closely linked with America that a lot of their beliefs and sort of lifestyles and whether that in culture is passed on to us, and you can see it in everything that we do. Contrary to the French side, a lot of the cultural influence, popular culture, comes from America because of our proximity to it, compared to Europe. And I am quite concerned in a big scheme of things of where the U.S. is going as it pertains to diversity issues, that we're going backwards. And I'm talking about diversity, ethnicity, physical disabilities, everything in general that is happening in the U.S. on that scale. On an economic scale, we're a small person, we're a small island trader. We're small but mighty in the Caribbean, and I believe that the sort of awareness by the current Minister of Finance. Just today came out with an article regarding a task force to sort of figure out how we're going to deal with these tariffs.
How can we deal with it? Because I don't see how we're going to deal with it. We don't produce nothing.
We don't produce anything. Yeah. We do import. Whether that, a lot of the time when we are dealing with China, a lot of the additional, a lot of the additional tax, additional sort of costs on top of it is because it goes through the U.S. Yeah. So if there is a way to divert that with a country within the Latin America and the Caribbean, or even to Europe, perhaps that might be an option.
If it's on a ship built in China, again, there's other tariff of $1.5 million.
Yes.
See, so what I'm trying to say, I'm not an economist, but I'm a realist.
Correct.
And when I read that in the paper, I said, oh, here we go again. There's nothing we can do about it, basically.
Unfortunately, no.
All we can do here is make sure that we have all the things we need. Because when push comes to shove, they're going to be shortages if this thing extends beyond a period of time. That's all, basically.
I didn't want to, you said it, but I also want to mention one thing.
You're a politician different than me. You're going to be optimistic.
Not always.
I'm just being realistic.
I'm a realist because I won't sell people a false story that I can't back up. But I will say one thing again that I have just been a broken record about. That, and I even said it, we had a meeting lately, country expenditures, which I'm chair of in Parliament, and I mentioned to the Minister of Finance, I said, I would like to have another meeting on where we are with our taxes in a general and big scheme of things and tax reform, because all of a lot of the questions coming up on something specific with personal tax assessments or business tax assessments led to a bigger discussion on tax reform, which is actually more accurate to be done in the Committee of Finance meeting, which is chaired by the former Minister of Finance. And the reason I say that is because in the great scheme of things, we are still trying to pull out taxes from the same persons that have been paying taxes in the past. And that doesn't mean that everyone is equally paying taxes, because we have a big issue here where it's a very much cash-based economy, but we also have a bigger issue here where persons are now using means of payment that is off island and not locally collected, meaning through a local banking institution. So we have a lot of leakage in the way our economy is being handled, whether that is sale of condos, whether that is rental of apartments or houses, whether that is money going for restaurants being paid abroad on receipts, which is what recently people have been telling me. We have leakage that we can control. And that is something that, regardless of what tariffs are happening out there, needs to be done here on a local. Everybody needs to be paying their fair share instead of the same persons being tapped into and being chased over and over because they've already been paying. We're paying.
You know what I'm saying?
We're paying.
I haven't heard another politician said it like you.
What do you mean?
What you said just now.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying wow, because I have not heard another politician said it the way you said it just now.
It's the reality. I'm being realist, like you said you were.
How soon we can work on that? How soon?
In the last conversation, I told the Minister of Finance that to look forward to a meeting that would be requested through the Committee of Finance to see where we are with our tax reform, because we are the ones continuously lagging behind Curacao. Yeah. And I said, and I even told the minister, if there's something that you can't handle, then let the co-legislator of Parliament take it over from you. But you have to be able to be honest too and direct and say, I'm focusing on this part. Okay, you guys focus on that part. And that's where we are in a dialogue, where more than likely, I'm probably going to push for us to be doing things as well, dual purpose with this, because it's taken too long.
We're out of time.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbs.
20 seconds in closing. Anything you want to say to your fans?
Sid Martin, you know what? Mr. Gibbs, thank you again for having me here. Sid Martin, I'm always here. I am always reachable. You might see me more in public life for different events, but it doesn't mean that I'm not with you. I love you all. I will continue fighting to level our people up, and I will continue holding our ministers and ourselves in Parliament accountable for the work that you have elected us to do for you on your behalf in the best way we possibly can. Take care. Love you.
All right, see, and now don't avoid me anymore.
I won't.
All right, that's it for now here on Speaking About Everything on YouTube, Facebook, and on Hot 99.9 FM radio. I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.